That's a prerequisite.
Yes.
No but then look at what happened.
You guys understand what this means, right? Pretty much the most powerful man in the world with a megaphone that allows him to reach more than a continent of people a day is making a moral statement here that Hamas will not exist. You will not integrate with Western civilization if you support the slaughtering of infants. Okay, guys, so there has been major developments on the front of exposing the radical Hamas terrorists and all of those that dogmatically run interference for them in the form of Jew hatred on Twitter. The dramatic news, the development, is Elon Musk has visited Israel and is now using his enormous doesn't cover it right because he literally owns the platform and is the most influential person on X, but he is now essentially showcasing what all the moral people knew before, which is Israel was the victim of a brutal, animalistic, barbaric attack against civilians. But what he's really showcasing is the complete moral reprehensibility of all those that run that pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist interference on Twitter. Now, you guys can obviously see my name is Abraham, but I'm not Jewish, so I'm not pressured into doing this by anyone. So, because there are people that conveniently create conspiracy theories about any type of opposition that their cult-like ideology demands of them. I am simply a person that cares about truth above all else. And that's what this channel is about. We've entered an interesting time in the 21st century, as we're going to demonstrate here, where the Arab world is going to be forced to either integrate into civilization or divorce itself in a very, very odd way. The reason it will be an odd way is because the West is experiencing decay as we speak in the 21st century, near the beginning of the 21st century, where objective morality is being attacked. The edifice of our civilization is decaying due to the rabid onslaught of the moral nihilists, moral relativists, the Marxists in the United States. And so a lot of people, in desperation to this attack, not knowing where to turn, have turned away from the West and said, we will embrace anything with gleaming cities and a clean society, which of course is, in many people's mind, the gleaming jewels of the Arab world. But that's actually not enough, and we're seeing that that's not enough because Elon Musk is showcasing that. So this is a very complex situation. Muslims and the vast majority of the Arab world wants to integrate into Western civilization. This is undeniable from what we've seen, given the direction of Arab leadership, all the way down in all the choices that they have made. They want to integrate into Western civilization, but in order to do that, they will have to create a new morality, a better morality than what they have allowed to propagate in the form of terrorist extremism. This is a really important video, guys, so I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, because this is really fun.
Kill those who...
This is the first video of Elon Musk that I'm going to show you. The second is a conversation with Netanyahu, and the third is Elon witnessing something much more sinister.
So it's certainly been a day, I would say an emotionally difficult day to see.
An emotionally difficult day for Elon Musk, who many people consider to be a robot or a cyborg. Even people call him an alien. But this is not true. And a lot of people, by the way, I would say, attribute the Asperger's-like state that Elon occupies to this type of allegedly emotional inadequacy. But in fact, it's totally not the case. Instead, what he exhibits is hyper-intelligence, which most people don't have a sufficiently sophisticated model for in their minds.
The places where people were murdered. I just did a talk with the Prime Minister.
Murdered. And there's no ambiguity about this. They were murdered. And he reiterates this many times throughout these videos.
And I think there's, I mean, obviously there are three things that need to happen in the Gaza situation. I mean, there's no choice but to kill those who insist on murdering civilians. There's no choice.
I thought for several minutes about that statement before I turned on the camera, and it is based in first principles to a level that you can't fathom. It's actually it is one of the most simplest statements a person can make, but if you think about it, it is deeply true. What is required is that those that insist upon murdering civilians not exist. There is no model for a civilized world that allows for that to happen. Now, that is interesting because that is a proclamation of objective morality. That is a statement about necessary intolerance. And just those two things combined already exclude much of the radical left's worldview and modus operandi, because Marxism and radical left ideology not only disputes the notions of objective truth, but denies notions of objective morality, which is the reason why you see, by the way, leftists in New York willing to chant death to the Jews and support Hamas while being LGBTQ, which would result in them, of course, being thrown from the top of buildings if they actually were able to realize this conceded partnership with Hamas. So already we see Elon Musk distancing himself, maybe unwittingly so, with radical leftists from the start, because he's making a statement about morality that is objective, and he's making a statement about the necessary conditions for a civilized world that entail discrimination. We must discriminate against those that want death to civilians.
They're not going to change their mind.
Precisely. They've demonstrated that they are not fit for human civilization. That's what October 7th did. There are those among us that don't walk around, that don't walk the streets. If you were to see them on the sidewalk as you're walking, they don't look at you the same way I look at you. They don't look at you the same way your neighbor looks at you. They look at you through the lens of a perverted, obscene death cult.
And the second thing is to change the education so that a new generation of murderers is not trained to be murderers. And then the third thing, which is also very important, is to try to build prosperity.
It is so first principles based. It is so logically based. It is so coherent. It is so Western, and that infuriates the Muslim population that is running counter-moral interference, and the radical left, which is also defined by moral incoherence. This is incredibly interesting. Now I will showcase a bit more the cowardice of those who are enraged by Elon Musk's recent visit to Israel.
To have how are they being trained to have these, to believe that murdering and having joy at the death of civilians is a good thing?
Right.
And to stop that training.
There is no debate, and there is no Muslim scholar. There is no thinking human that could dispute this. There is no place in the civilized world that you so desperately wish to integrate to, Muslim population, that could allow for this. And the West won't allow it. There are many who say that our mission to Afghanistan was a failure, that it was poorly planned, poorly executed, and built on lies. But it wasn't a complete failure. What it did demonstrate is those that wish to attack Western civilization will have their bodies stacked. We will stack your bodies. Not out of the low-resolution revenge matrix that an uncivilized world would ordain, but out of an ethical requirement. You will not be allowed to exist if you conduct terrorism against the civilized world. And I see this, frankly, as an outgrowth of that realization that has been going on at least since 9/11.
You hit the nail on the head because we have first a mission to destroy Hamas. Nothing's going to stop that, because if you want peace, destroy Hamas. If you want security, destroy Hamas. If you
want the good of the world,
want a better life for the Palestinians in Gaza who've been hijacked.
See, that is a moral truth. That is a moral objective. Getting Muslims to realize that objective fact will result in their salvation and their integration into a civilized society that offers the liberty for them to practice their faith. That realization is critical to the Muslim world.
By Hamas, destroy Hamas. All of that is a precursor to the question that you asked. You first have to get rid of the poisonous regime,
Correct.
as you did in Germany, as you did in Japan, in World War II. These were two.
There's no choice. There's no choice.
So,
Right, there's a reference there too. I think I'm reminded of what Ben Shapiro said to that college student that advocated the genocide of Israel, where he said, so are you saying that the 2 million Germans that died at the hands of the British bombing, are you claiming that that was a genocide because that was warfare? And then she couldn't answer coherently, because what that reveals is, in war, when ridding the planet of an existential threat to civilization, civilians will die, just as they did in World War II. Many Germans died who were innocent, just as many Palestinians have died because of what Hamas has done and because of their need to wage warfare against humanity.
that's a prerequisite.
Yes. There's no choice.
But then look at what happened.
You guys understand what this means, right? Pretty much the most powerful man in the world, with a megaphone that allows him to reach more than a continent of people a day, is making a moral statement here that Hamas will not exist. It's enraging. It's enraging to those that hate humanity.
What you had in Germany was denazification, and what you had in Japan under Douglas MacArthur was a cultural reformation. And Japan that you visit today is so different from Japan of the 1930s.
Yeah.
And that's for the better.
Germany that you visit today is so different from Germany of the 1930s.
Right.
Well, is that possible in the Arab world? And I categorically say, of course it is, because we've seen it already in two places. We've seen it in the Gulf states, and we see that when you visit Dubai.
A very, very intelligent thing to say. They have already, this is what I said at the beginning of the video, they've demonstrated their desire to integrate themselves into the Western civilization. That's basically what Dubai is. That's what it was designed to be.
When you visit
Their new projects are designed to be that.
Abu Dhabi, or when you visit Bahrain, you see something entirely different.
Sure.
There was, in fact, a cultural change there. And let me say that that same thing is, in my opinion, happening to a considerable extent in Saudi Arabia. The de-radicalization of these Muslim countries, these Arab countries, some of it already took place, some of it is taking place.
Yeah.
But there's another country with a substantial Arab minority where that has already taken place, and that's called Israel.
Yeah.
20% of our citizens are Arabs, most of them Muslim.
Okay, so this is what has the dogged anti-Jewish animals in a frenzy on Twitter right now. A picture of Elon Musk looking at a blood-stained cradle where an infant was slaughtered on October 7th by Hamas. They can't stand that you see this. They can't stand that you judge them for what they did. They've been doing their hardest to invert reality just as the left does. And when they see this, they not only see that they can't escape the fact that they will be responsible for it, but that the world sees them and is at a place where they are expected to alter their morality, to acknowledge the immorality of Hamas, or they will be excluded. They will be excluded from that which they wish to integrate with. You will not integrate with Western civilization if you support the slaughtering of infants and the murder of civilians. And that's what this picture shows. The most powerful man in the world from America gazing at what they did. This image enrages them. Just as symbols of objective moral accountability enrage the radical left Marxists who wish to deny humanity, deny themselves, deny individuality, deny accountability, and deny virtue as they futilely attempt to pervert it. This is a powerful image here. This is a powerful image, and it has all the largest anti-Jewish accounts on Twitter in shambles. In shambles. They're wrecked. And no amount of calling, looking at a bloodstained cradle propaganda is going to change the fact of what Hamas did. There's no referendum. There's no debate. There is no both sides. There is no moral equivalency here. This was an unprovoked attack where civilians were slaughtered, taken hostage, raped, and killed in their houses, in their beds, and in their cradles. And the morally righteous won't let it stand. And I mean the truly morally righteous. I'm not talking about the cowards who were on the right side of history when they were masking up and requiring vaccine passports or cowering under the shadow of what the state might do to them if they were called the wrong type of people. No, I'm talking about the people with real courage. The people like Elon Musk who don't buckle. That's who sees them as who they are. And as it is, we are the leaders. We are the leaders of civilization, as proven by the blood stained on this cradle.